where gun culture meets the gospel. This is Armed Lutheran Radio.
Okay, next question comes from Peter, who asks us, there's been a lot of talk about the new normal now that, and how things are going to change forever as a result of coronavirus. What are some changes that you hope become the new normal?
Well, I don't think it's necessary to shake hands with every person you come in contact with.
I'm good with fist bumps and polite waves.
Yes. It is possible to give somebody a greeting and even carrying on a conversation without physically touching them. Not to mention the custom of shaking hands goes back to medieval times, where that was the way that your opponent showed you that they were not armed. So I don't have a habit of greeting those who are my enemy, who under other circumstances would kill me. I'm okay with dispensing.
Right, rather leave people wondering, is he armed or not? Yes.
I did mention this in one of my pastoral pontifications. If this leads to the extermination of the practice of the sharing of the peace that happens in some churches, where all of a sudden we're jumping over the pews to go shake somebody's hand, I'd be okay with that.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's the church that I grew up in never did that until we got this one pastor who introduced that, and everybody did it, but everybody talked about how much they hated it. So
I know.
So I'd be okay with that going away. I think that one of the good outcomes of this could be that people would adopt a more responsible view of themselves within society, that, hey, my actions can have negative consequences for those around me. And I'm just thinking of this in a purely philosophical way, that we need to, as a society in general, be more mindful of how our actions can affect others, especially within the last 20 years. And I think this could be in some way connected to the evolution of internet and social media and that sort of thing. We have become a more selfish and self-absorbed society in general. And one of the nice things that I think we've seen in the last month and a half is that you have a willingness on the part of many people to help those who are in need, and to go out of their way to be of assistance to those who find themselves in difficult situations in life. And so that's one of the good things that I can see coming out of that, is that as a society, we become less selfish and more focused on what others around us, what they are going through and what they are in need of.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's been nice to see, people in social media, instead of bickering about things, in some of our local, like, neighborhood and community groups, talking about, hey, do you know any elderly people who need help with this or that, or picking up their medications, or going and get groceries, and instead of people, complaining about the kids making too much noise down the street, there are more people who are reaching out to each other and talking about how can we help each other, and I that's been good to see. That's a good point. I think what I hope will come out of this, especially with the schools having been closed down, is maybe a different respect or a different view of homeschooling, and a different attitude towards public schools. Because I think
not only that, but a different attitude towards teachers.
Yes.
When I was in school, you would have never dreamed of parents attacking the teacher for telling the parents that their child was a little, well, you know what? It's with the advent of the helicopter parents and parents who believe that their kid can do no wrong, that you have children who act like absolute demons in the classroom, and then the parents blame the teachers for the child's behavioral problems. And so perhaps now you have those kinds of parents who realize that, you know what? The teacher of my child deserves a medal at this point because they've managed to teach my child all year without killing them. And I've gone 3.5 weeks and I've thought of 38 different ways to end my child's life because they're a little monster. Okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but there's at least one parent out there who feels that way right now.
Or is an alcoholic by the time this is over.
Yes. As I saw a Facebook post, that it takes a village to raise a child, and now we're saying that it takes a distillery to homeschool a child.
Amen. Another thing I think would be, and you brought this up in episode 217 when we talked about, you mentioned all these new gun owners, people in these sort of non-gun friendly states who are suddenly thinking, I probably need to go out and buy a gun, and finding out it's not as easy as they thought. I'm hopeful that there's a greater awareness that the Second Amendment is really not just for certain people of certain political persuasions, that it's really for everybody. And that the government can't protect you.
Right. And it's ironic, too. And perhaps this will cause those who leaned liberal in their politics and yet finally find themselves in need of owning a firearm to protect themselves and realize they can't get it when they need it, that perhaps this might cause them to think twice before they vote next time. Either that, or they will call upon their elected politicians to be more faithful to the Second Amendment.
Right.
One can only hope.
One can only hope, because the Second Amendment, and we tend to think of it as a left-right issue. It really shouldn't be.
No.
It really should not be a political issue at all. This is not a Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal thing. Gun rights are for everybody. And I don't care whether you're an atheist, a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a white, a black, a woman, a man, an other, one of the 57 others. It doesn't matter. You have a right to protect yourself and your family, and it shouldn't be denied to you because of where you live.
Right.
And I hope more people are coming to that realization.
And it's ironic, too, that if you look at history and gun control laws in general, that the first gun control laws that were put in place in our country were put there to restrict minorities from owning firearms. Mm-hmm. And as a society, we have, we've made this all about your political persuasion will determine whether or not you support the Second Amendment. And the last time I checked, the natural right of self-defense matters regardless of your political affiliation.
Exactly right.
For show notes, be sure to visit our website at www.armedlutheran.us. Check out the Facebook page, The Armed Lutheran, or join our Facebook group, Fans of Armed Lutheran Radio. If you like what you hear, please leave us a comment on our feedback page at armedlutheran.us/feedback, or a review on iTunes, and let us know what you think. Thank you for listening to Armed Lutheran Radio.